Hello everyone and welcome to another New World video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and thank you so much for checking out today's guide. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Additional greetings at the start of these videos. But in today's guide, I want to give you guys hopefully the definitive new and returning players guide. There is a bunch of changes that the game has implemented, and we've actually seen our first paid expansion as well over the last year, and there is more to come. There's a lot of updates that this guide hopes to cover, so whether you're a brand new player, you've never played this game before, or you're a returning player, I really hope that this guide can help answer any questions that you have. And if for some reason you still have a question after watching this video, be sure to just sound off in the comments or jump into the Discord. That way you can get your questions asked and we can hopefully have a lot of fun. All right, with all of that out of the way, feel free to use the chapters in this video to jump to any specific section that you need. But let's get started. We're gonna open up with which version of this game should you buy? That's the number one question that I get from new players, but also returning players wondering if they should just pick up the expansion or if they should wait. I say, especially if you're a returning player, jump in, check out the updates, and see if you want to continue the story into the level 65 cap. That's what the expansion is going to give you. It's also going to give you the flail, which is a blast. It's such a fun weapon. I highly recommend it as somebody who is a main healer in this game. But if you are okay with just kind of seeing all the different changes without having to put money into the pot, there's no subscription for this game. This is a buy-to-play game, so you buy it and you own it. They're not going to ask you for more money. I'll talk about how the game is monetized later on in this video, so don't worry, we're going to get you covered there. But if you're just getting started, you have a couple of different additions to kind of look at. First and foremost, they have the New World Standard. This is just the base game. Generally speaking, this game goes on sale roughly every quarter. So there is usually a 50% discount on this game. So if you happen to pick up the game at a discount, awesome, but it's still easily, in my mind, worth the $40 entry fee. You also have the New World Deluxe Edition, which comes with a couple of extra little benefits in terms of like glamour, perks, etc., but I wouldn't necessarily break the bank on it. Finally, you have the Azoth Edition. This is where it comes with a lot of different glamour items over the last year. This doesn't give you any extra power. This doesn't give you the expansion. All three of those versions are just the base game. Some of those versions come with a little bit extra. Then you have two things. You have the Rise of the Angry Earth expansion. So if you own the base game already, this is all that you need to pick up. And that's going to give you everything you need. That's going to give you the expansion, the new weapon, the mounts, and obviously the level cap increase. But also they have the Elysian Edition. This is the base game plus the expansion. You will miss out on the Deluxe and the Azoth additional items, but at the end of the day, I think you can actually sometimes pick those up in the in-game store as well. So I don't think anything is truly lost. From the price and the content-wise, the Elysian Edition is the best version. However, I do recommend that new players do consider checking out the expansion. Just do so when it makes sense for you. Now, regardless if you're on the expansion or not, there is a ton of updates that the base game has received, and that's where I'm going to spend kind of the next part of this guide focusing in on. First, we're going to talk about kind of matchmaking and those contents, but I do want to shout out that New World has native controller support, and I have a native controller support guide already on this channel. I'll link it in the description, so if you want to go get more details about how to play this game on the controller, please do so. But the rest of this guide is going to be focusing in on mouse and keyboard controls, so just note the choice is up to you. I actually do highly recommend the controller. It is really fantastic, and I would encourage you to check out that guide as well, because there's a lot of detail in that, and I don't want to pad this video too much with information that maybe you're not a controller player and you don't need. But let's jump in. I'm going to get the escape key, bring up my menu. You will see the new activities tab. This is where you'll also find your leaderboards, but you're going to find your activities, aka your dungeons. Now, in this case, they are rolling out cross server to some of these contents. Outpost Rush, for example, is cross server, so getting a match in Outpost Rush, pretty straightforward and easy. We're still waiting on the 3v3 arena, but we do expect it sometime in 2024. But ultimately, this screen isn't going to change too much. If I pick on expeditions, for example, when I say matchmaking, you can pick and choose which expeditions that maybe you want to queue for, or if you're looking more for a random, you can actually then specify which that you are. Are you a healer, a tank, or a damage dealer? Now, there are requirements to be able to queue. You can see here I am able to queue as a healer because I have a level 9 life staff and over 120 focus. If I wanted to queue as a tank, I would need to use any weapon or a carnelian gem, and they also have, there's a artifact, which we'll talk about the gearing system here in a little bit, an artifact that actually replaces the carnelian gem, so it gives you the ability to do more damage. Hitting confirm will enter you into matchmaking, and it's that simple. If I wanted to go ahead and queue for these selected dungeons, I would also then have to specify what I want to queue as, what role. Do I want to go damage? Do I want to go healer? Or in this case, the one that's, obviously unavailable is tank, and you will see and get various different rewards for doing so. And I think that's really the kind of cool thing. What you notice about this is the requirements changed because I am queuing for lower level dungeons, but there is more to come. Obviously, Mutated Expeditions also uses the same kind of system and feature, which is wonderful, and Trials will also be added at some point in the near future. Trials being kind of your raid boss kind of mindset, so that's kind of what they're looking at targeting right there. Whether you're a new or returning player, your build is going to be an important factor in how you play this game. But when I say it's an important factor, don't let it lock you into analysis paralysis, because you as your character can pick up any weapon. Any choice that you make isn't going to be a permanent choice. You can always respec, you can always change things up, and I think that's a part of the fun that this game offers. Now, as far as your build goes, you have basically your left side for your gear. You can see here, this is a special item. I talked about artifacts. Artifacts are a new addition to the game, which are powerful, various different pieces of gear. You can have one artifact on your left side, you can have one artifact weapon, and you can have one artifact trinket. You're not allowed to have more than one in different slots, so it does give you some various different build options, and honestly, it's a lot of fun to go and try to farm these. Once you get them, you're going to have quests that are tied to that artifact that will unlock its additional perks. So it's not just about the drop, it's also a little bit about that grind, but this is an MMORPG, and if you don't like grinding, well, I don't know how to recommend this game to you or any true MMO, but the grind in and of itself, I think, is very rewarding and a lot of fun. So your build is going to represent based off of your gear, but also on what weapons you choose to equip. You can see right here as a healer, I'm rocking a life staff and a flail, but there's really even better news, as the game now has gear sets in order for you to kind of play around and do various different things. I like to fish a lot in this game, and it's so nice that I can just switch over to my fisher build and not have to worry about carrying the different items and weights, especially because anything that is in your gear set does not account against you in terms of your carrying capacity. So you have a lot of value there. You can see here, even as a part of your gear sets, you can give them your own name. So if you want to have a black mage, for example, as someone who's a Final Fantasy fan, that is an option for you. And you can kind of come up with your own clever names, whatever you end up feeling like it helps remember you the most. Now, there's a lot of little options in here, so pay attention. You can actually take your equipped items and turn that easily into a build. You can also take any of the items and you can say add to gear set, and then you can say, hey, I want to go ahead and equip that to a specific gear set and go from there. So you have a lot of flexibility. I personally, from a leveling perspective, recommend I have a leveling build here, I recommend going as heavy in terms of survivability as all possible, but also having both a melee and a ranged weapon, whether that's the gun, the bow, some kind of magical staff. These are going to give you a lot of just survivability. One of the things that when it comes down to just traveling around the game, if I pull up the map, While they've added in multiple new fast travel points, and while there is a mount system, and yes, you do run faster along the roads, downtime is still downtime. So increasing your survivability is generally what I recommend for leveling. And once you hit the level cap, then I think you can get more into those specific builds and different options that you want to play around with. One of the things you'll find easily in this game, and I think it's important to go ahead and focus in on, let's go ahead and just break down. You can hit Control C. You can break down these items. You're going to get gold, materials, and repair parts. Don't worry about certain items. I personally like to say, like, if it's got that this beautiful animated background, that means it's a named item. That means it's even cooler than, let's say, just a general legendary. And then you can see the artifacts also have that similar effect to them. That's what I get to hold on to right now. But as you're leveling, focus in on things that are going to increase your survivability, increase your damage, and obviously increase your life. I wouldn't specify too much on the various different perks, but just make a note as you play around with the different perks what you actually like and what you feel is more enjoyable in that vein, because you're going to have a lot more action, you know, like when you get to the end game, I guess, to say, for lack of a better term, that's going to be what opens it up for you there. Now, as a part of your build, what is not attached to it is your stat points. Your stat points will need to be respect to be able to set them into whatever value that you want. So just note that you're going to have to come in here, choose to respect, put your values where you want them, and more. Now, at the end of the day, it's not that expensive to do so, but just kind of play around with it. Also, I would pay attention to your leveling rewards. This is good for new and returning players. If you're curious as to how things unlock and what options are available to you, your leveling rewards will tell you all along the way. And at level 65, you get these beautiful, beautiful artifacts that you can equip. And that is so fun. Honestly, I can't praise it enough. But anyway, let's move on. One of the most requested features is Transmog, and that has now been added into the game. So you can see here with this symbol, you'll be able to transmog your gear. I'm going to pull it up and go into it. Now, as you unlock different skins, they will show up as a part of your collection. So you can see all the different things that you have, quote unquote, unlocked. But then what you need to do is transmog them into that skin. So you have to click on the skin itself. You can say transmog, and then this will allow you to use one of your transmog tokens. These can be purchased, but also earned through just playing the game. If you want to look at the price of transmog tokens, you can easily jump into the store and find them listed down here at roughly, in this case, a pack of 10 will cost you 20 bucks. At the end of the day, honestly, I think it's probably the most fair system because there is no subscription to play this game. So whether you like this or not, this is the system that they have in place. But the nice thing is, as you can see here, I've got 7. That's just from playing the game, and you can choose to unlock the various different items that you want. And that is something that when you go back into your equipment, you can go and say, I'm going to go ahead and change the skin, and then you'll see all the different things that you have unlocked that can be transmogged. These are kind of the extra options here. You can also see various different sources as well as the different names. So you have a couple different sorts available for you, and that is how you apply the various different gears. So if I wanted to apply like a different helmet, it's as easy as I click on it. I'm going to go ahead and say change skin, and I've got a couple of different items. I like the eyes. I think they're a lot of fun because they also show off my beautiful afro ginger hair. Ginger prime, I love it. And so that is just as simple and as easy as it is. So whether you're watching for Twitch drops, whether you get these items through Prime Gaming rewards, or you purchase them from the store, or you use transmog tokens, I think the system is pretty daggum robust. Now, a couple other new player tips that I want to focus in on. When it comes to housing, I highly recommend that is actually kind of maybe a first priority, whether you're a new or returning player. If you've never owned a house, it's so simple and easy to do. I currently own 3, and what that gives me the ability to do is I can recall to my house at any time. And I can also reset the timer for that recall. So that means as I'm running around in the world, I'm not going to have to sit here and like have to run too far if I just want to be able to jump around, zip around, and get to new outposts or new cities, etc. So if I go ahead and recall to my town, I'll show you how this works in real time and show you what it takes to actually reset this as well. Now, while I am teleporting, the important thing I want to leave anybody here on terms of just kind of the content of what's new is find the fun. If you like crafting and gathering, that is, I think, where the fun is. You should spend time with that. If you like doing the dungeons, that is something I think is going to be a lot of fun for you as well. Find the fun, find the thing that you enjoy doing the most, and that's really where I think the game truly shines. Now, if I go ahead and just pull up my map here to kind of highlight it, I have teleported, and you can see here my cooldown to return to my house is at 2 hours, or I can pay 19 of the Zoth to reset it, and then I can teleport back to it here at any time. All right. That is, I think, a part of the new stuff, kind of some general tips and tricks and advice. Let's talk about the activities and what you can do in this game. Now, while I briefly highlighted the activities, we went through the expeditions and the duty finder there. We also have the elite trials, which is kind of the raid, and more is going to be added here into that. You also have mutated expeditions. This is kind of your hard end game, kind of rating, if you would think about it like that way. You have 3 difficulty tiers, and you'll see the different requirements over there. We also have the 3v3 arena. This is where you and 2 of your random buddies versus 3 others get to compete in PvP. There's currently at this time 2 different maps that this rotates. And then finally you have Outpost Rush. This is a 20v20 PvEVEP mode that allows you to have. Now, you have to be level 60 to unlock this mode, so this is going to be kind of more on your end game, and this does include PvP balancing, and it will tell you various different changes that is applied to this mode specifically, and this gives them the ability to kind of tackle various different metas that kind of form in the game itself. But that's not everything that is in the game. If I just look at my main menu, a few things. A, you're going to be able to level your territories, and you can always pick new upgrades that you get as you just generally level up and have fun with. Property upkeep, for example, is a really good one. As you play in the different zones, get these features, so just kind of pay attention to what you want. There's really no wrong choice, and unfortunately there is really no way to reset these values right now. I believe that it is coming, so just kind of keep that in mind. I personally always go for any kind of standing gain, but that's just my personal choice. You see a lot of different options like trading tax, station fees being reduced, as well as various different increases in storage. I enjoy that, and gathering speed. There's a whole host of different options that you have available to you. The other thing you'll see is a lot of quests. If you see this symbol here, this is going to be kind of your MSQ. This is something that you want to follow. If you're new to theme park MMORPGs, New World is more like a sand park, because you can see here the territory control. Players are fighting for control of the various different zones for different perks and more. But if you stick and you just want to kind of focus in on a PvE element, you'll see various different side quests, various different quests, and various different symboled quests, as you can see from the town boards and more. Speaking of leveling though, because like in terms of doing all of this, there is the general question and debate around the city town boards. I personally like doing them. These are just various different tasks that are up for grabs, and if you go ahead and just pull up the town board menu, you'll see what's available. You can always pick and grab them, because they're not always going to be guaranteed to be here, and you can just turn them in as needed. You also have your faction quests, which you'll be able to get at any of your faction vendors. You'll see 3 different PvE choices and 3 different PvP choices. You will get a bonus. Up to 3 of your quests get a double XP bonus that are applied to the first 3 turn-ins. I end up generally kind of focusing on the PvP ones, namely because they give the most rewards, and the bonus really is quite enjoyable. But you can see here you got a different choices. Now these reset every so on, I'm going to say 5-6 minutes ish. So if you don't like what you see, you can always grab something else, or you can go to any other faction vendor in any other zone. The reason why I like to grab those as just a part of my leveling is that as you're playing and going out and about, basically you're going to be doing those things anyway, and this just gives you the ability to funnel in extra extra stuff. Now, the faction system has changed, so you will be able to go and do quests for each of the 3 factions before picking one, before choosing which faction you want to be a part of. You can change factions, but there are some kind of cooldowns when you choose to do so. The other thing that is usually happening in the game in and of itself, you have various different races that are going on for the control, so you can kind of see that listed on the map. You can see when war is declared. You can see when an invasion is upcoming, so you can always check out that information and decide if you want to participate in it as well. And then essentially you also have various different corruption portals that will be appearing on the map. You have minor and major. If you hover over them, you're going to get an idea. And these are generally open world, recommended for 5 players. So if you want to go try and solo them, more power to you. But that's something that you can do to get both loot, gear, and experience, and it could be a lot of fun. On the PvP side of things, let's jump into that. Under your character PvP menu, you have a PvP reward track. So as you continue to choose to do PvP missions or play in different modes, this is going to continue to increase, and you've got multiple different tiers. You can kind of see how it works through the system, and you can also see the various different rewards and different tiers for completing those. So this in and of itself just adds an extra level and feeds you some additional gear if you choose to participate in it. A couple other things to kind of make a focus in on: your weapon mastery in terms of your leveling. The weapon cap is 20. One of the feedbacks I keep having is I wish they would cap it at 20, but still let you get weapon experience for, I don't know, some kind of glamour or some kind of like loot box reward. I don't, at the end of the day, whatever it is, but you can always go in and respec your different weapons. This also applies to your build, but this guide won't necessarily tell you exactly what you need to select. Honestly, I always just try to encourage people to play around with different things, but also the internet is the internet, and I'm sure there's plenty of different options listed out there. If you guys want dedicated build guides, sound off in the comments. That way I know that this is something that you guys are looking for when playing this game. Now, the final thing I'm working on is getting the flail, the musket, and the bow to level 20, and thus capping out all my weapons. I really enjoy the weapons in the combat in this game. It is truly really a lot of fun. I highly encourage you to check it out. Trade skills are another thing entirely. You see your riding. Yes, that's right. You have a riding level. You can level up your mount. You can have music. You can play music in this game, and it's a lot of fun. It's a little mini game, and it provides buffs to you and people who are hanging out listening to you play. Same thing goes to fishing. But you have gathering, which is a lot of fun. Refining, where you take these items and turn them into things that people can then use to craft. So you can see here, I have not been making any furniture whatsoever, but the trade skill cap at the time of this recording is at 250. Now, once you hit 250, these enter into a, an aptitude, that's the right word, leveling system that just basically keeps counting up from there. This system is what I want for the player XP system and for the weapon system as well, just because it gives you that extra sense of progression and so much more. Now, you can also participate in open world PvP. If you're in town or any sanctuary, you can always press your U key to flag for open world PvP. This will allow you to do those PvP missions and gain a little bit extra bonuses and extra experience. So you're going to get that, and it will tell you obviously when you turn that on what it is that you are getting. So that is the PvP offerings in a nutshell. But I feel like I should just say, but wait, there's more. Under your main menu, you now have this concept of seasons. Seasons are this additional reward track. They come with seasonal stories that you'll be able to find on the main map and quest line. So you can always find that as a part of your journal. In this case, if I go to your journal, you can see faction story, seasonal story, and you can find exactly where you need to go. These are a lot of fun. I usually put these as a priority personally, but your seasons are something that is just an extra level. Now, this is a battle pass, and you can see here the main tier and the premium tier. You have to purchase the premium tier. You can purchase that plus 20 levels, or just the base one for $20. This is acting as that kind of optional subscription, or you can just generally purchase levels. I tend to stick with the free track, namely because these battle passes expire. There's no holdover, no continuation of those, and so I want to go ahead and just really kind of hold on to my money, and I'd rather just buy the emotes and stuff like that from the store. If I end up playing a heavy amount, I can always just purchase the premium edition whenever. So you're not going to necessarily be at a disadvantage. Now, progression for seasonal pass rewards is handled in a couple of different ways. There is a passive experience that you're getting, but you have the journey card, and this is basically going to tell you and give you some challenges of things to do for different experience. And then new chapters open up with new challenges. You can pin these to your quest log over here, which is very handy to keep an eye out on what all that is doing. But that is just one facet of it. You also have the concept of an activity card, and you do get 3 wild stamp cards a day. And as you fill out the items, when you make a line, it doesn't actually use one of your wild stamps. So it allows you to have a lot of flexibility here and be able to make progress on your season. And then once you're done, you can finish the card for rewards, and it just gives you a new card. And a part of this also plays into the journey card as well. So always kind of take a look. And again, you can also pin these items as well to kind of give yourself these different objectives as whatever you end up feeling like it makes the most sense and sees fit. And then as you complete these outside of the wild cards, you can just kind of click on them and unlock them as well. And so that is the seasonal journey and so much more. My general advice when it comes to players, whether you're new or returning, is ask questions. You know, like we have our Discord, it's open. That top link in the description will get you there. I love helping out new players. And yes, I do take breaks from this game. I encourage people taking breaks from video games that tend to drive a lot of time in this case. And with New World, it is truly like an MMO that really kind of speaks to me. I love the aesthetics. I was always surprised by just how much I was impressed by its visuals, but the action, combat, the dungeons, the controller support, all of these things coming together is a ton of fun. And I hope that this guide has been a huge help for you guys. I guess to leave you guys on one final thing is when it comes to inventory management, because that is a thing that is going on in these games. Let me go ahead and run over to one of these storage centers. Now, there's a few things to know. As you level up you can level up your storage. As you own a house, you can increase the overall storage capacity of your storage, but you're still going to be capped on the certain number of items that you can equip. You can easily move a bunch of items over by hitting kind of these arrows, but you can also switch between any of the different storage systems as well. It will tell you where you have your items stored. So in this case, I don't have anything here, and I can decide if I want to go ahead and move some items into it, thus freeing up my inventory as well. I would encourage, and it's unfortunate we can't currently rename these or kind of say, hey, this is kind of what I'm storing here. But ultimately, I think it would be really exciting to see that as a feature. But yeah, generally kind of come up with maybe where you want to store certain items, so that way you're not going to have to spend too much time finding it. You can also search for various different filters, etc. So if I want to say dyes, or I guess I have to look for its name specifically, cyan, there it goes. You can do that search and that filter. It's going to give you different options as well, which gives you a lot. And then if I want to take all of these items, for example, you can always hit take all, or you can individually drag and drop items into storage and kind of play around with it in that regards. Progression, I think, is pretty basic and simple and easy to understand, especially when it comes to the game itself. It does have loot biasing when you are playing, so it will try to reward you with something that you want. Take a look at your perks and just really kind of honestly, if you're ever worried, always just hit lock on something. The L key, the L key on the keyboard will lock it, and thus will allow you to kind of go back and review it as needed. But without all of that, with all of that out of the way, I really do hope that you got something good out of this guide. I thank you for spending so much time with me today. If you feel like the video earns it, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.